The scene opens with a man, Vincent, getting ready to test a revolutionary new computer chip that he's created. Once his test subject is prepped, he activates the implant in the young man's brain. The chip seems to immediately make the man come to life, with his eyes beginning to glow and flicker. Vincent asks him if he remembers who he is, but he gets a worried expression on his face as it appears that he doesn't. Vincent's assistant then tells the man that his name is Paul Dawson, and he was a former soldier whose brain was damaged in combat. Vincent then gives Paul a short logic test involving a ball and two cups, which he unfortunately fails to understand. Vincent tosses his pen onto the desk in frustration, as it appears this new chip he's created still needs more work. Paul then picks up the pen off the desk and puts his arms around Vincent, asking him if he can see his mom. As Vincent starts to pull away, Paul suddenly lunges at him, driving the pen deep into his chest. He then attacks Vincent's assistant before moving on to one of the nearby guards and stealing his weapon, using it to end the man's life before turning to face Vincent. Instead of shooting him, he just tells Vincent that he's sorry, as more soldiers come into the room to finally take him down. As Vincent starts to bleed out, he has several strange visions, seeing a woman in a red coat and a young girl with shining eyes. He then wakes up in his bed at home, and we see a picture of a woman looking out at a sunset on the wall behind him. He heads to the bathroom and splashes some water on his face, looking at the scar on his chest as he tries to shake off the bad memory. He then heads into work, where we see him running a Turing test against a next-gen AI created by one of his engineers. He begins to ask the AI a series of questions, hoping that this one will finally be able to pass as human. Unfortunately, he deems the test a failure, as he is quickly able to detect its flaws. As Vincent leaves the facility later that night, we see that there is a tremendous amount of security around the building, with helicopters flying overhead. He finally makes his way home and sits down with his young daughter Mary, who we see has some kind of condition, as he holds her close in his arms. The next day he is back at work doing another Turing test with a different AI, this one made by an outside engineer named Ava. He again asks the AI a series of questions, and despite it getting one of the questions wrong, he is intrigued by one of the answers it gives. He then dismisses everyone out of the room so he can talk to Ava privately. Once the two are alone, he tells her that he has access to virtually unlimited resources from the Ministry of Defense, and if she agrees to share her tech with him, he will make sure that she has more funding for her research than she could ever possibly imagine. She hesitates, but ultimately agrees to the deal. The next day, as Ava heads into the facility for the first time, a woman suddenly jumps into her car, saying that they took her son, Paul Dawson, and she never got to see his body. Security then drags the woman out of the car and Ava gets out to defend her, leading to both of them getting arrested and detained. After Vincent gets Ava out of holding, she asks him if he knows anything about the woman's son, Paul. Vincent tells her that the woman is deranged and that her son died in combat 2 years ago. Ava seems to accept his answer, and Vincent then offers her a tour of the building, as long as she agrees to not get arrested again. As they walk through a security checkpoint to get to Vincent's lab, we see two of the guards have shining eyes and they start to talk to each other in a sort of robot language. Ava asks Vincent about the guards, and he explains that they are all war veterans who had suffered severe brain injuries, and they've been given an implant that gives most of their lost brain function back to them. They eventually make their way to Vincent's lab, and Ava is introduced to the director of the facility, Thompson. He grills Ava for a bit about her past, and then tells her to get to work making him a brain for the robot body that he's built. After Ava and Vincent wrap things up for the day, Ava uses the lab's computer to look up Paul Dawson, seeing that he has a restricted record in the system. We then cut to Suri, the head of security for the facility, as she pulls up some surveillance footage for Thompson. The footage shows Ava installing some kind of hacking program on the computer, allowing her to gain access to the restricted files. Thompson then gets up from his desk, looking worriedly at Ava's face on the monitor. Later that night, while Vincent is driving Ava home, Ava asks him why he decided to work at such a shady place when he could have gone to work anywhere. He tells her it's because his daughter has Rett syndrome, a rare neurological disorder, and he is using the government's unlimited funding to try to find a cure for her. They soon come to a woman standing in the road wearing a red coat, facing away from them, and it appears to be Paul Dawson's mother again. Ava manages to convince Vincent to pull over and offer her a ride. As Ava reaches out to the woman, she suddenly turns around and stabs Ava in the stomach, revealing that it's actually a man wearing a wig. Another attacker then knocks Vincent to the ground and kicks him in the face, while Ava continues to lay on the ground in shock. We next see Thompson receiving a video call in his office, and it's a live stream of the attack on Ava and Vincent. Thompson watches as the attackers end Ava's life before he puts down his cigarette and goes back to his golf game. The scene then cuts to Vincent being back at the facility, with Thompson giving him the story that he was saved at the last minute by his security team. The project then quickly moves forward, with Vincent implanting the new AI brain into the robot's body, with the body then being brought to life suspended on giant mechanical arms like those from Vincent's dream. After they apply a layer of skin and hair to the machine to make it look more human, they are finally ready to come face to face with their creation. Vincent cuts the protective cover off the robot's face and tells it to open its eyes. He calls it Machine. Vincent then takes the machine back to his lab, where he immediately receives a call from his daughter's doctor. The doctor tells him that she has an infection in her lungs, and she is being taken to the hospital. Vincent tells the machine that he has to leave for something important, but he'll play some games with her when he gets back. We next see Vincent arriving at the hospital, where he is told that his daughter needs a procedure to clear out the fluid in her lungs. He decides to stay overnight to scan her face and her brain, with the operation scheduled for early the next morning. Back at the facility, we see Suri getting a close-up look at the machine while she is sitting in a chair, appearing to be shut down. As she starts to touch her face, the machine grabs her arm and starts to talk to her using the robot language, with her face glowing red. We next see Vincent pacing the hallway outside of the operating room at the hospital, when one of the doctors comes out to give him an update. Unfortunately, he tells him that his daughter's system was too compromised from the infection to keep her pulse up during the operation, and they lost her before they could finish the procedure. We see a completely devastated Vincent as he visits his daughter's grave, before going back to his lab and destroying things in a rage. The machine tries to comfort him, telling him she is sorry about Mary. When he asks her how she knows about his daughter, the machine shows him what she sees when she looks at him, pulling up a picture of his face on the monitor. When he zooms in on the image that she shows him, he realizes that she is able to pick up on people's emotions on a level far beyond what humans are capable of, and she might actually be able to feel emotions herself. He quickly goes to Thompson's office, excited to tell him the news about the machine's possible sentience. If it's true, it means he might be able to use the technology to bring back his daughter. Thompson, however, sees this as a bad thing, as he intends to use the machine as a weapon of war. He orders Vincent to remove the part of her brain that is making her sentient, and he threatens to delete his daughter's brain scan from the system if he doesn't do it. Vincent then goes to the machine and explains the situation to her, saying that it must be done if he wants to save his daughter. The machine suggests that they just fake the operation, saying that she could do a good job pretending. Vincent tells her that they'd never believe it, and she eventually agrees to go along with it to save his daughter. Once they have her strapped down and start the operation, the machine starts to get scared, saying that she doesn't want to die. She promises that she'll do whatever they ask if they just let her live. Vincent tells her not to worry as he takes a small device out of her brain, causing her eyes to become dim and lifeless. After Vincent finishes the procedure and leaves the room, Thompson stops him and has him arrested, telling him he plans to delete his daughter's profile anyway, as he can't have him making any more robots with feelings. Back at his office, Thompson receives a call from the engineer, who had helped Vincent with the procedure on the machine. He tells Thompson that Vincent didn't actually remove the part of the machine that made her sentient, he only removed her built-in GPS. And without the GPS, they could no longer activate the bomb they had put inside her head. He immediately orders the base to be locked down and for Vincent and the machine to both be shot on sight. We next see Vincent being held gagged and bound, with the machine coming to his rescue. She says that she and Suri have a plan to take over the facility, but they need to destroy the quantum computer running the security systems. Vincent and the machine then split up, with Vincent going to destroy the quantum computer and the machine going to retrieve Mary's brain scan from Thompson. Vincent manages to make it over to the computer and sets up the system to overheat, leading to it exploding just a short time later. We next see the machine fighting her way through waves of soldiers, shrugging off bullets and making her way up to Thompson's office. Suri manages to get there first, taking out 2 of the guards before getting taken down herself by Thompson. The machine then arrives, and with Thompson's bullets having no effect on her, he decides to throw a grenade to try to slow her down. She throws the grenade back in his direction and continues to chase him as he crawls away deeper into his office. She then gets down close to Thompson, pressing her thumb against the side of his head. She tells him that she's going to do to him exactly what he was going to do to her, and then she presses her thumb all the way into his brain. Vincent walks in just as it's over and asks her about Mary's brain scan. She tells him that it's safe, stored securely in her internal memory. He then gives her a hug and tells her that he trusts her, causing her eyes to glow. The two then leave the facility, taking out the guards at the entrance as they go. We next see Vincent talking to an AI version of his daughter on a tablet while sitting seaside in the sun. Mary then asks if she can play with Mommy, and the machine takes the tablet out of his hands. She then begins to walk toward the water, taking in the beauty of her first ever real sunset. Like and subscribe to see more videos like this one. See you next time.